The press room, you in the press room, working on our stall's hot-tronic heat press, using all the vinyl, making all the picture tees. I like vinyl.
I'm about to just load these boxes up on that over.
Man, you gotta be a crazy little brother to get fired on your day off. What you get caught stealing boxes for?
Man, I didn't get caught stealing no boxes. He said he caught me though.
We get our rent paid.
Why don't you go in there and ask the girls real fast to see if they help us pay our rent?
That don't sound like a bad plan at all.
What's up, Pops? What's up, Smokey? I'm trying to set up a meeting with the girls, man.
Okay.
Y'all wanna help me and Craig pay our rent?
Craig still owe me money from the last time he got me. He gotta learn a lesson. He shouldn't be stealing. Go ask him to tell that girl from last night to give him some money.
What they said? They said it's slow for real.
I'm about to just ask boss when we get our job that night.
Of course you can. Yeah! What's up? I wanted to announce today that we do have a brand new film studio and video studio in photography. So if you want to have a photo shoot or anything like that, we're having a special 30-minute shoot. As many pictures as you take, we just email them all to you. You don't have to worry about prints. You get your pictures back before you leave. And so everything that you've always imagined that a photo shoot or that video production should be, we're bringing it to you.
All right, go ahead, Peanut.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Peanut, the CEO of Dash Resource, man. I don't have Stack and Smell. I actually got...
B-Nut, scoot over to the right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, right there,
Man,
yeah.
B-Nut with me today, man. What's up, man? You
What up?
a little bit? You go comment?
Nah, you know I'm new. I know Kier Wine.
So Smith
Shout out.
actually was on his way here today, and he actually had an issue with his tire today, so... I actually informed him that, you know what I'm saying, you got to tighten your wheels every so often after you get them changed or whatever. That's my automotive background, sorry. But this is the Legendary People podcast where we do legendary people, legendary stories. We always want to give a shout out to our sponsors before we get started. If you want some of the best breakfast in the city, go down to Sheets. If you get hungry for lunch, make sure you head down to Agnes All National Grill. If you are ever in an accident, please contact attorney Michael Wright. We'll get to that later. A little precursor for later on. And of course, you want to get bent a little bit. You want to get a little drink. You get you some Kiara wine. And of course, go to the shoparea.com like a baby Amazon. Everything's free from the store to your door in 4 business days, man. So, Smeg got me doing everything today. You know
Oh yeah, right.
So anyway, without further ado, I'm Peanut and I do legendary people, legendary stories. And I want to give a special shout out to my man B-Nut, man, because this is somebody I actually wanted on the show, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to, man. So I'm going to do my man James Pate, man. How you doing, brother?
What's up, bro?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Wait a minute. Your nickname B-Nut?
Yeah.
I could you never tell me that, Roger. Never heard that ever. B-Nut. Okay.
Oh man, I think you had,
okay,
man. You
But
had
I know what
to.
the B for the B, you know.
I think you
done
had
called
to.
B,
You
but
had
I
to.
ain't
You
called
had.
you
You
with
had
that.
to have heard that,
Okay.
Pate.
Huh?
I know you had to
I
have
swear.
heard that.
I promise.
Oh yeah.
So here on the Legendary Podcast, we start off by finding out where our legends come from. It's called the origins. Without further ado, where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Cincinnati,
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati, Ohio, but I was born in Birmingham.
Yes, sir. Alabama.
Yeah. So I came up here as a kid after my mother passed away when I was 4 years old.
4 years old.
Yep. And so her dad was already up in Cincinnati. And he was married, and so he came down and got us.
Okay. Wow.
7 siblings, and I'm like, I'm like the baby down there. So a lot of older sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
And so so we came up to Cincinnati, and that's where I grew up. So Cincinnati is like home, and then I would say Dayton is like an adopted home.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was it like an early life like in Cincinnati? And what area were you like in? Westwood area, Park? Like what area was you in?
I grew up in the infamous Down the Way.
Down the Way.
In the West End. Mm-hmm.
Everybody know about Down the Way.
Down the Way.
Sure.
Yeah, so, you know, had to dance and everything. So, so I grew up, you know, in the West End, and it was real cool, you know, because on that Lynn Street, saw the strip there, and Washburn Elementary School I went to, and a neighborhood arts center erected.
Okay.
And so I was in that center, the Arts Consortium.
Yeah.
So I was there like you know, you have gym rats. I was the equivalent to that in like, you know, this art facility. Yeah, and so and they had other arts there, you know, like dance, drama, music, and that kind of thing. And so I was one of the elementary school kids that was in there, man, and it was this dude that, you know, taught us some fundamentals, and I was so locked in. And I was one of those kids that could look at somebody do something for like hours,
right?
Because it was just so interesting to me. Yeah, and so this instructor Tyrone Kenny, he was a brother, and that, you know, he was actually a student at UC, and he was an art student at UC, but he taught this art class.
Wow.
And he was sort of like the first sort of art model, art role model that I had. You know, he was real fun-loving, could dance. You know, he used to whip us around in this little Volkswagen. You know, and he was just a cool, had this awesome spirit about him. And, you know, and then he up and moved to San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
And so, and that was like crushing. It was like, oh.
Yeah.
But I continued to go to the Arts Consortium and just grew up there and ended up going to the School for the Creative and Performing Arts.
Okay, but before we get there, right? So at the Art Consortium, you spoke on them having other things there, like dance and things of that nature. Did you kind of try out any of that also, or did you kind of just stick to the page? You know, that makes it easy.
You know, I was in the environment. I was absorbing it. Plus, you know, a lot of times when you're an artist, you know, you have a sensibility for 2 or 3 of the other arts, you know. So it was already in me, you know, as far as like music and drama and that kind of thing. But when I went to the performing arts school, that's when I experienced it, because you had to take 2 other arts courses other than your major.
Right.
So I ended up doing vocal music and drama. And somehow I ended up in the dance class. I don't even.
Man, they always like to throw the brothers in there, man.
I still don't remember how I ended up in the dance class.
They sprinkle us in there, so.
Dance. Can you dance?
Yeah. You say, can I dance?
Yeah, can you dance?
You know what? I got a lot of rhythm. I'm full of rhythm.
Okay.
It's just full of it, man. It's seriously. So somehow ended up in that dance class, but yeah. So drama was pretty good, and I was in A Raisin in the Sun.
Okay.
I played George Murchison. You know, and that was pretty cool. That was a cool experience because everybody else was experienced because it was their major, and so the school would put on you know, several plays. It would be like 2 or 3 musicals, and then they would have a straight drama.
Right.
So A Raisin in the Sun was a straight drama.
Man, bro,
I ain't even have to audition. Seriously. I didn't have to audition. Because I was in the fundamental class, and you know, just doing my thing, and I was like, oh, you just have to pretend you something else. I was like, oh, that's easy. This is what's going on in my head. I'm like, that's easy as could be. You know, when I'm in 9th grade, and I'm like, okay, so I'm in there and I'm doing it, and they just pointed me out like, James, we want you to be George Murchison. And I was like, okay, all right.
Bet, run it.
And so by the end of the day, after the announcement or after they posted, because I didn't even go look at the post.
Right.
People were just coming up to me, congratulating me, and I was like, I didn't know. I was like, I didn't know. So yeah, so I had a sensibility for that, but it wasn't anything I wanted to pursue because after that was over, people would think, oh, so you're gonna be in drama now? You're gonna be on stage, and that is like, nah.
So like, we always ask that question to like our legends that come on here. Like, if you could go back in time and do anything differently, like what other thing do you think like you could have excelled in if you took it as serious as you take your work today?
At one point, I was going to play the drums.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I can see that on you.
I don't know what got in the way. The drums and keyboards. You know, I had a big interest for, but music is still in me, so I was still able to tinker with it.
Right.
Just do personal stuff that no one would ever hear or anything.
Right.
Because it was just to satisfy my own creative outlet. So it was, you know, so I'm very particular about whether or not I pursue something or not. What's this chase for, and why am I doing this?
Right.
What's the purpose? And sometimes the purpose is just simply to just flush it out, or just to see if you could do it.
Wow. Yeah.
You know? And then you just the way you eat is from, you know, some other endeavor that you're earning some income.
So like at this point in time, you know what I'm saying, like you're doing really, really good in school. I mean, you know, what's it like when you come home and you have these interests in art? Is it being like cultivated? What type of things are they doing to help or push you towards who you became today?
They just pretty much left me alone because I was so self-motivated, you know. So I would come home and there are a lot of artists that do this when they're in high school and that kind of thing. They have a space to where they're going to do some drawings, because by that time I was already mature enough in my art to where I was doing extended time pieces where it took, you know, a week or two, you know, as opposed to just that night or something, or just sketching something in a corner of a sketchbook or something like that.
So like my daughter, she loves art. I mean, I've taken her to multiple galleries and things of that nature. What is something you wish that like somebody would have did to help you progress a little faster than what you think? Or anything I could do as a father to help her?
Well, yeah. To go ahead on and actually finish your original question. I got a lot of encouragement because like I said, I was an art studio rat. Dude, so I was in the environment all the time,
right? You
know, and from coming up through the arts consortium to transitioning and continuing the arts consortium while I was at performing arts school, you know, after performing arts, or after, you know, I graduated, going to the Art Academy of Cincinnati.
Was that from the Corbett Awards?
The Corbett Awards happened while I was at school for the creative performing.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. So that was like it was sort of it was actually a school-wide competition.
Oh wow! So did you feel a little bit of, you know what I mean, like a little bit of, you know, like you feeling yourself at this point, or was there a victory before that kind of made you feel like I could be great rather than just good, like I could become legendary?
Well, when I auditioned to go in there.
Okay, tell us about that story.
Well, first of all, I didn't even. I was so naive. I thought it was an after-school program.
Oh, okay.
Here I am auditioning to go to a whole nother school.
That's hard.
You know, and I had to learn what I gotta leave Porter high school, my homies, everybody to go here, just like all these white kids, and you know, I was like, whoa, you know, so
right.
So I auditioned, and you know, you had to, and they still do this, whatever still life set up in the kids drawing. Well, see, by that time I was mature as an artist, man. So I was gesture drawing, you know, where you sketching. I wasn't doing this little scoop thing where, you know, I was already in there, right?
Hey, that be me, scoop.
Yeah, you know,
I'm gonna get every line.
I was already there, you know, just from being in the arts consortium and paying attention to Tyrone Kenny.
Okay.
You know, because he the one introduced me to, and it was some of my other, you know, dudes that we, you know, that you know, we was like a little clique, and we all went, and you know, and so I was already there, and so the art teachers who was, you know, conducting the auditions, they had already told these students about me, you know.
Okay. Oh.
So when I got there, after, you know, like kind of kicking and screaming, I got there and it was like these kids already knew me.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, it was a trip. Like I was like, there's that kid.
Yeah, everybody nervous, like.
And Mr. Rabo, that's the one that Mr. Rabo was talking about, and all this.
Right.
You know, like we got a kid because I scored really high. You know, like you know.
Was there any pressure at that point, or was it just muscle memory, or like? Because I'm trying to compare it to. I mean.
Now, see, here's the thing. Yeah. This is what ability does. Ability had your confidence way up there, and at the same time, I was just naturally humble because, you know, naturally I'm actually an introvert. I may not sound like it now, but I had to force myself to learn how to be an extroverted and you know, or extroverted, more extroverted person. But yeah, so I was naturally introverted. You know, introverts are just humble and don't want no trouble, just cool and laid back and can be in a party and won't feel left out. You know, you don't have to approach me and try to make me feel included or anything. It's like I'm cool. I like observing and all that. You know, or I can just get out there and, you know, and show personality and all that stuff. But yeah, so I was already very confident because of the ability. But at the same time, I never was cocky though.
Right.
Never was a cocky dude, you know, at all about, you know, my gifts, or whatever. You know, but yeah, that was something. So so coming on into School for the Creative and Performing Arts, it was a good experience because the first week I went there, I was like, don't want to go.
Right.
And my grandmother and the school counselor talked me into going. They said, just go for another week. Right. If you don't like it, just come back. And so then I went for that other week, and it settled in on me. Then it suddenly changed, like, oh, okay, I get a chance to actually observe white people.
Right.
You know, this is where my head was at. It's like, okay, yeah, because then see, okay, this is cool. Plus, it was a lot of black kids there too.
Right.
You know, I don't know what the ratio was, but it was enough of us there to where.
Yeah, I mean, it was different from your previous school.
Yeah,
which
way
was
like way more. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And so it was like, oh, so I settled in. And another thing was that the school had started with a class, and when they brought our class in, they put our class on top of theirs. So I came into 9th grade, so we already at the top of the food chain.
Okay.
So there was another thing I wasn't, and previously, you know, I had to deal with bullies, dudes that was like older, you know, so you had to deal with that kind of stuff where it was like, because it kind of was like school, you in 6th, 7th grade, and these dudes is like 8th, 9th graders, and they already seem like they all buffed up and everything. They would message. You had to stand your ground. It was a different navigation, you know, socially. But I mean, it was a thing where you adjust to it because I didn't want to leave it,
right?
You know, so you know, it wasn't no big deal.
So like, who were some of your day one friends from both schools? You might well say, like, who are some of your day one earliest friends?
My man Calvin Jones.
Okay.
And, Jeffrey Hackle. You know, the Hackle family.
Okay.
There was like a family, maybe like 10 of them. It was like most of them was like brothers. You know, it was like maybe 7 of them or something. You know, so the whole family, we clicked real good, and they just lived in a couple of floors underneath us. You know, I grew up in the Laura Homes.
What is that?
The Laura Homes was an early project down in the West End. That they, you know, of course, they dismantled it, and now it's set right. I mean, the FC Cincinnati Stadium plopped right in the middle of where I live, bro. So
that's gentrification like I've never heard before.
It was a big deal coming in, and so they and this is on the internet, where they struck a deal with the community to engage the community and not just push them out and that kind of thing. But that gentrification force, it can trump that kind of those kind of promises and whatnot. But they seem to be putting forth effort, you know, based on stuff that I've heard.
So what was the city like at that time?
Where, in Cincinnati?
Yeah, what was the Cincinnati like coming up? You know what I'm saying?
Mid-sized city that had all of that racial tension and social justice tension and all of the ills that the country was dealing with and is still dealing with. I mean, you know, that was there. It was, you know, situations where riots occurred, you know, excuse me, but, you know, I was still at a pretty naive kind of an age to where, you know, you could feel that energy and you know what's going on, but you're still pretty oblivious to it. You're not focused in on it. You know, I was too busy trying to collect the little cardboard papers that was in stockings from my grandmother now. Like, y'all saved them because I wanted to draw on. You know, that was some of my early surfaces to work on. You know.
So I mean, a little precursor of further, you know what I'm saying? Like you do a lot of, you know, like works for, you know, well, works that highlight, you know what I mean, social injustice and other things of that nature. Mm-hmm. In your early childhood, you know what I'm saying, up till high school, did you witness any of things that are still current today?
Well, you mean in terms of like
either racism, killing, black on black crime.
Well, I mean, you know,
violence against women as well.
But yeah, oh man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, that kind of thing happens, especially with violence against women. Mm-hmm. You know, that happens, you know, right in your personal life. You know, quite a bit. I don't know if I want to tell on any family members. But,
I mean,
you know?
I mean, just keep it nameless. Right. Yeah, because I mean, like, there's gonna be somebody at the end of the couch that's gonna benefit from. You know what I mean?
This is true. This is true. I mean, a lot of times when you're in the hood, you don't really go out of the hood that much, especially when it's enough there for you. You know, so as a kid, you know, you just know what's going on, but not a lot of times you go and directly experience it. At the same time, you do know of situations where if you knew not to go in like certain like white neighborhoods and that kind of thing, and those tensions was always happening, almost like little mini civil wars was taking place, little mini race wars was happening, and like I said, that was typical, you know, very very typical, and you know, I did a whole series on violence against women. Yes. And this was
attack.
The attack. And of course this preceded the Me Too movement by a number of years. But it was only because, you know, I had 5 sisters. And I grew up with those sisters, and I saw the way that they were treated by their boyfriends, and by their husbands and stuff. And you know, and it occurred to me that when you're growing up as kids, I remember being afraid of adults and being afraid, you know, you heard stories of, you can get snatched, and you know, and it's that way too, you know, be careful with strangers and that kind of thing. And but as we grow up, males, we kind of sort of shed away from that. Yeah. But females continue that on because they're the ones, you know.
They're still most vulnerable.
They're more vulnerable, primarily get raped and things happen to. So. And we just, you know, like, I know that, because I can walk down a dark alley here in Dayton and not feel that same tension that a female may feel.
Absolutely.
You know, so I sort of worked that series from that premise, and what I decided to do is relate and take the imagery from 9/11. So I had, like, you know, new women where airplanes is hurling toward them, and then the airplane, the fuselage of the airplane it's got that phallic symbol situation going, and it is what it is. Yeah, and it's funny. It's funny. This white lady bought most of them.
But I mean, it's definitely amazing work. You know, we gonna get to some more of your work, but we still got to. I mean, we still in high school with you right now. You know what I'm saying?
We're pacing it. You know, that'll be good. That'll be
good. What's one of your fondest like memories of? You know what I mean? Like in high school, like one of you harken back to that's like one of your greatest memories.
At lunchtime, dancing.
Okay.
You know, dancing. We had this little room we could dance in, you know, and it was like, you know, primarily all the black kids. And we would be in there just cutting up.
Right.
You know, just cutting up. You know, and in the lunchroom period, it just used to be like, you know, a scene. And then growing up in an artistic environment like that, you know, the sounds was crazy. Because, you know, you heard the sounds of instruments, you know, you heard the sound of people singing because, you know, they was doing opera. Yeah. And that was another thing that was cool. I was exposed to, like, classical music, and I grew, like, a real good appreciation for that. You know, so it was a good decision to stay there.
There you go.
Yeah, you know, and I got to a point, and I tell you, after that, I sort of began to connect to my instincts a little more.
Okay.
Because it was an instinctual move, like, okay, yeah, let me see what's up with this. This might be, A little frontier for a little bro.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
So was you were you popular? Was you popular in high school?
I just told you how much ability I got.
You gonna ask him?
Yeah. Well, but I would say yeah. And again, it was because of the artistic ability. And I still did athletic stuff. You know, I played basketball, baseball.
Okay.
But it was the artistic, you know, gravitational pull, I should say, was just too strong.
Right.
You know, yeah, right. Because I found myself expressing myself, even not just in making some kind of social statement, but just in experimenting with techniques and stuff. That's an expression. It's an expression in that too.
Absolutely.
Because it's a creative endearment.
Absolutely.
Endeavor.
Yeah, like the body is art, man. You know what I mean? I mean, just clearly. So eventually you graduate and then you venture to Central State, the legendary Central State.
But first I went to the Art Academy.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
Art Academy now you talking about some racist situation. Because it was like it was a parochial school.
What does parochial mean for the people who don't
get school?
Okay,
you know, where Catholic kids go.
Okay.
Catholic school kids.
Okay, so you go from the school that's kind of cool with, you feel me? It's like the typical mixed school. You leave from there going into a parochial school. I just gonna put in my back pocket. Can't wait to get parochial again, Peter. Yeah. So now you're at the parochial school. What's your first experience that you feel that it's like, this ain't it?
Okay. First, let me say this.
Okay.
So, as it pertains to popularity.
Okay.
You know, because I was one of those people that was cool with everybody. So by the time I was a junior, senior in high school, it was like, and they had added on, so it was like 7th graders. It was, I was cool with everybody.
Right.
Kids, you know, my own class and everybody. And so the Corbett Award was an award where whoever won it, you know, you could take a course at a art course at a university during your senior year.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
Or you can get a private, you know, instructor with some, you know, painter or some instructor that did private lessons or that kind of thing. You could, you know, you had the funds and the employment. You can employ them to be your private instructor. And so I chose to, after winning it, I chose to do the Art Academy of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
A night course.
Okay.
So and this is something because, you know, I'm a senior in high school, and so I do this night course, and everybody in there is adults, you know, of course, and I mean, you know, much older than me, and so the instructor did a painting demonstration the first session, and I was like, just, you know, I soaked that up real good, and so the next session. I'm in there, and this white lady come in there in a robe and take the robe. It's like we get ready to do some new drawings, some new warm-ups.
And you were singing in high school.
And I was looking around, and everybody like, this lady just walked in here, and they you know, they'll have a little podium and a chair or something, a stool or whatever for her to sit. And she takes off her robe, you know, and just kind of drapes it over. And sit down, and I was looking around like, do y'all see that this lady is naked? You know,
you turned into a whole
this is my first experience in it, right? And the door was open. It's like you can go to any given art school to this day, and it's like the doors are supposed to be open, and they're doing new drawing. Because it is a good classical way to learn to draw and learn the artistry of proportions and form and shape and all. It's pretty good, but what happened was, you know, I was so astute, you know, to just you know, learning art and learning academic. By this time, this is academic art. You know?
Right.
This is like you learning the, you know, techniques and all this stuff. And before I knew it, I didn't care nothing about that woman being naked.
What?
I was so focused on getting the right proportions and the tones and the expression of her posture and her pose to where it just tripped me out.
Man.
Just that alone tripped me out.
Man, I could have held the easel up. I could have both hands faint holding the easel. That's good, nah.
But yes, Connie McClure, she was the instructor, and
Shout out to Connie.
and it was it was a real cool experience. In fact, I ended up having a split with my pastor at the time because of that. Because he found he found out that was taking place, and he was trying to discourage me from doing it. And we had a discussion, and he was like, "That's not what you're supposed to be doing," you know. And I'm expressing it to him in this sort of free way because, again, I was really naive to his response.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know he was gonna just like, no, you know, and I was like, well, why do I have a gift to even do it? And then I told him,
you
like,
said that to the pastor?
Oh yeah, and then
You a smart dude, man.
and then I said, I was like, I mean, I was thinking like, if, you know, if God gave me the gift, and I'm not in there thinking nothing sexual, what is the problem?
Right.
Because I definitely wasn't thinking anything sexual.
Right.
Not at any point. You know, because like I said, I was too focusing on what the assignment was.
Right.
You know, and I tell you, I just ended up just not even participating in the church.
Okay, yeah. So that was literally like you showed your paintbrush over the church at that point in time.
Absolutely. Oh, without a doubt. Very, very. Again, trusting my intuition.
There you go.
You know.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah. So after learning some of those techniques and stuff at the Art Academy, towards my senior year, we did this surprise portrait of our principal.
Okay.
So a group of teachers came and commissioned me to do it.
Oh wow.
You know, and I'm up in my living room painting that bad boy. Oil painting too. You know, so
Oil.
painting, yeah, it's like more sophisticated, you know.
Oh my God!
Don't be responding like
no,
that.
No. I'm dead serious because like oil, like if it's in the wrong temperature, you know what I mean? It could ruin the whole. It could ruin if it's in the wrong temperature. So to be at that young age trying to put it together, I'm thinking.
I painted that bad boy, and it was like boom, looked like one of those classical paintings that you was in museums or something, right? Yeah. And then they presented it at the end of the year. You know, it was at an assembly. And they unveiled it, right? When they unveiled it, the crowd just went, they all stood there, everybody went crazy. You know? And I was on stage, and I was like, so I'm just saying, so the popularity thing, it was pretty good.
Wow,
it
man.
was pretty good, yeah. And then going to the Art Academy, man. So that's why I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the Art Academy then when I come out of school or whatever. But man, it was one of my buddies, and I tell you, I had already left by this time, but he had an experience that one of the instructors told him that, you know, what did Bill say? Parrish, because his name was Bill. Yeah, Parrish. You know, you just want to end up with a Cadillac and yada. So saying all this stuff.
Wow, that's some racist.
You know, but he went on to actually graduate from the Art Academy. But you know what? He couldn't get any support. It was a couple brothers that graduated from the Art Academy that was older. He really couldn't even get no support
from them.
Yeah, to come and just kind of support him because he went through some hearings and all this stuff. But it was a lot of little, you know how in those places where it's that knick-knacky stuff and if it wasn't for my artistic abilities, you know, I'd have been invisible in that environment. Especially, like I said, being more of an introvert. You know, but
you saw them,
I stood out because of the ability.
But you saw them treating him differently, and
they treated all of us differently. You know, and especially with the encouragement situation and like, you know, getting to show your work and them just sort of taking you under their wing to expose you to different stuff and you know how it is where it's that village support kind of a thing. You know, you wasn't getting that.
Yeah,
you wasn't getting that. And so I tell you this: when I was in middle school, we took a field trip, and I'm at Performing Arts, and we come up to the University of Miami in Oxford to their art department. And we went to their ceramics department, and we go in, and this big tall dude stood up. It was Bean Davis.
Wow. The legend.
Shout out to Bing
When he
Davis.
stood up, he was so like the way he is now, just happy and and just positive, to where my eyes was like,
Yeah.
because I was growing up around pimps, hustlers, dope fiends, you know, and all this stuff. You know, at this time, it's like that image. I hadn't seen nobody that positive like that. Only body that came close was Tyrone Kenny, but he had left,
Right.
and so he was kind of long gone, you know, so to speak. And here come Bean Davis, man.
Wow.
I was like, what? This dude is like, his spirit was just off the charts. Man.
Wow, man.
Off the charts. And so he never left my mind. And so when I saw this environment, or was experiencing this environment at the Art Academy of Cincinnati, you know, I had learned that Bean was at Central, you know, by that time.
Yes.
And so I hit him up, and so Bing, he's like, what? You know, I ain't gonna do no Bing impression.
Come on, do the Bing impression. Do the Bing impression. Do the Bing impression.
Hopefully Bean conducts his real impression on this show. We get the real
right, you get the real thing, you know. But Bing was like, yeah, you want to come? It's like, yeah, you know, always, you know, I try to recruit you and this and that, and so I was like, okay. And prior to that, Bing, the art guru down in Cincinnati at the time, you know, they knew, so they knowing each other. He had already sent Bing a letter saying, look out for this dude.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Donald Soul.
That's
Bing,
love.
Bing always tell that story when he talk about me, get at a podium or something. He'll mention that how he got that notice from. And they used to do that. I guess they still do that, you know. Where
That's love.
you know, so Bing, I hit him up, and he was like, why don't you come up visit that? He's like, Jesse Jackson gonna be up here, the convocation. And it's like, you should come up, yada yada. And I was like, oh, I did this drawing of Jesse Jackson. He's like, well, bring it on up, you know.
Oh my God.
And I had this old beat up car, right? And I had just enough gas to get there.
Just enough.
You know, but I was like, again, I'm going with my intuition. I was like, if push come to shove, I'll just suck up my pride and be like, bang, man, I need some gas. You know, so took the piece up there, and Bing saw, was like, oh, so he got an easel, posted it up, so the students coming in, and you know, and it's like, oh, and he's got this little, he had made this little note like, yeah, James Pate, he's coming to Central, he's gonna be in the Central Art Department. He was just started promoting. He just started doing this promotion thing, boom, boom, boom. And so Jesse Jackson, you know, he did his thing. And then he left because Bing had, you know, he's like, oh, Jesse Jackson got to see this.
Yeah.
And so Jesse Jackson, when he got done with his speech, he dipped out the back. And Bing was like, oh, there goes. So Bing said, grab the artwork. And Bing was chasing this, like, we went down in the back, going down the hallways, and boom, we come out the back
running
door.
with the art.
Yeah, running with the art. And we come out the back door. Now, Bing had an art. It was another student that grabbed the art. I think I grabbed the easel.
Okay.
I might have had the art. And then
I trust you having the art. I don't think
I might have the art.
you can leave that to
right.
Yeah, so I'm following. We get out there, and he's like, Jesse Jackson turn around. Boom, we show him, and he's like, boom, Bing is like busy selling, like, yeah, this is a student that's coming here, and, you know, we're trying to support him and this and that. And he's like, he just wanted you to see this, you know. And I was thinking, like, I ain't trying to sell it to him, because at that time, you be so in love with your work, you ain't trying to sell it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to sell it, no, but Jesse Jackson really is like, oh, and then he just gave me this big hug, and he had this like trench coat, probably like fall or something, you know, and he gave me this hug, and then he reached in his pocket, pulled out $100 bill, boom, gave it to me.
Yeah.
So that was my ticket home.
Wow.
See, I was wishing that I could have kept it or Xeroxed it or something.
Yeah, but I took a picture of
I had to
something.
get some gas.
Man, listen, I'm going to tell you right now. Jesse Jackson came up. That's $100 investment. It's worth so much to
It was crazy. That was a crazy little experience.
Jesse Jackson was a capitalist.
He was cool. I mean, he was cool. And
that's a cool.
Yeah. And so that's how I ended up coming up to Central. You know, and then Central was that total opposite. It was that village.
Chocolate love down there.
Man.
Yeah, man.
So
I
must have missed this. Hold up. When did you decide that you was gonna be an artist? Like I'm an artist. Like that's who I am.
We gotta go back kind of farther.
Well, I mean, because it never was a point that I really wasn't, because my grandmother used to tell me stories of what I used to do as a little baby, as it pertains to art. Like you said, you used to just be right there in the middle of the floor, just drawing and making marks and stuff, and I don't even remember that. So that'll tell you that. But I could tell you when I felt like I was a pro, and again, this was after I was pretty skillful, you know. Early on, like I said, I was mature as an artist, not as a person, you know, as far as life, but as just art ability, you know. You know how you can have an athlete just off the chain with their ability, but you know, the next thing you know, they trying to sell weed.
Right.
It's like they just immature as a person, or they trying to do all this other stuff and they end up in trouble, you know.
Right.
But they like talented as all get out, you know. So I had that art ability. And so I was just working this technique one time, and I'm making these lines and stuff. Next thing you know, I got this like line drawing little technique, you know. And it was like, dang, is this art? Is this good art? And I wasn't sure, you know. And this was shortly out of high school, like that summer out of high school, and I'm working it, and I'm just like, I don't know, you know. And then, like I said, the instinct, the intuition, was like, of course it's art. You're an artist, so it's gonna be art, and that's art. It's like anything that you do, you can declare art if you want to.
Is that the techno cubism?
And I was like, I'm in the league.
Is that technique? Is that the techno cubism?
Yeah, I was just ready to say, and I end up calling it techno cubism.
That's sweet. That's I was telling you, I still want a piece of that art, though. I'm telling you, I'm saying that right now.
But you know, I was. It was so early on to where, you know, I was perfecting it and everything, but I knew that I still had a long way to go. So I didn't want to lock myself into techno-cubism, and I didn't want to be sitting at the drawing board making those straight lines just all the time.
Peanut.
Because I knew I had other.
What it is straight lines to like, and it's making a picture, but it's all straight lines. If you look at it real close, you would just see it's just straight lines. But
it's the lines. I'm just producing the lines, manufacturing the lines with the free hand. And when you look at
freehand,
it, so
all
many
straight lines
to
and
where
freehand
they
straight
look
lines.
mechanically straight.
Yeah.
But if you as a group, but if you zero in on a line, you would see the human element where it goes straight. It's not mechanically perfectly straight.
But it looks straight if you just looking at it like a regular picture. Hey, but that shit look good, boy.
So
were there any other artists in like your bloodline? Did you hear about maybe your dad or maybe your mom? Any stories about that, or did you?
Man, you know, the visual art, I soaked it all up from all my family because nobody else do visual art. You know, I mean, you know, like my sisters and even my brother, they're like real smart, and they have other creative things that they do, but not visual art. The visual art, it seems like I just sort of just absorb all of that, all of that chemistry.
So
from my siblings.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're still at Central State. So now you're down there with, I mean, you know, your big dog Ben Davis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you ended up dropping out, but like, what was that time like before that happened?
A lot of fun and just a lot of you know, I'm a real huge fan of black creativity, humanistic creativity in general. But black creativity, I'm just like this fan of, like you would be a fan of something,
right?
You know, and so I was around a lot of that was coming from all these different angles. Everything from the choreography that's coming from sororities and fraternities to directly in Paul Robeson, where, you know, you got the music department, and then, you know, I got my peers in the art department, and we being competitive with each other, and me meeting, you know, my ace dude to this day, Dwayne Daniel.
Right.
You know,
shout out Dwayne Daniel.
Who is a full professor now at Central State,
Wow.
and in their art department.
Dr. Dwayne Daniels.
Doctor. Doctor, put that doctor on there.
You can say. And you know, and just staying on campus, you know, and then one of my ace dog was this Muslim cat, Miguel, who was from Detroit. So, you know, so I got like a chance to really experience, and he was like that real sort of more disciplined Muslim, not the Farrakhan dude,
Yeah.
but
He followed the traditions. He ran to the east.
He's like making salat, the times he's supposed to, in the whole nine. And one time he went off in the cafeteria because there was some ham in his salad. I was like, he went ballistic. Me and him used to hang. We clicked for some reason. Well, I tell you, he kind of taught me how to hustle a little bit on the campus with doing drawings and and doing a little artwork for people, and that kind of thing. Because he was doing that. He had a little style he was doing. So he and I used to kick it pretty good. And last I know of him, I think he had moved. He had got his degree and he started teaching and ended up in Atlanta or down south or something. Last I heard.
Wow.
But yeah, so that was a real good time. And I had some of the guys who were like on the football team and stuff. I befriended them dudes. Detroit was in the house. I was always ended up meeting somebody from Detroit.
That's wild.
Shout out Detroit.
West side. My uncle and my uncle Julian, he from Detroit, and he is like he's on it, man. He's painting stuff right, like he's painting right now. I know he is, like for a fact. But go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
And so that was pretty good. I mean, like the sisters that was there that I had befriended, it was real cool. And, I was just loving it. And Bing was really exposing us. We was going on trips. We was going to Ann Arbor. He had his partner, John Lockhart, was teaching up at the University of Michigan and their, art department. And he was teaching also at a community college up there. So we would do exchanges with students, and we would go up there for field trips and visit John's studio and get exposed to him and some of the commission murals he was doing. And, so we was getting that exposed.
Bookmark that.
Staying at John's home and, in his studio. And we did that all the way up until John's passing a few years ago.
Wow.
I was still taking trips with Bing and driving Bing up there and staying in John's crib and oh man, you making me think about my experiences that I had through art, man.
Yeah, man, come
share
on,
some
man.
of that with us, man. What was some of your memorable experiences?
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then I got this commission, from the Kentucky Fried Chicken Corporation.
Okay.
Yep. It was crazy. So, and when I got that commission, plus as a student, that's in your dogged struggle mode. Students, everybody know, and that sector is the poorest.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No
absolutely.
cake.
Nobody know about that. Being in debt and you still broke. Like, why you still in school?
So you have to have some discipline and not get enticed, by stuff that's got that money, And then like now I can see nowadays it's probably even more amplified. I can imagine. With having to pay cell phone bills and all this stuff.
Oh God.
And eyelashes.
Oh God, man, look, we not getting on them lashes, man.
I know. But,
well, they can fly away with them things nowadays.
Yeah.
Hang glide with them.
My daughter called it eye hair. Like she has really good. She has some cool eye hair, Dad. Which is some kids. Yeah. Fundamentally, that's what it is.
I hear. I'm sorry. No, that's what we call it from now on.
That's what it is.
I hear.
Hashtag
I hear.
Man.
Right.
Yeah. So I got that commission from the Kentucky Fried Chicken Corporation.
How'd you get it?
Okay. Yeah. Being in the Arts Consortium, they had board members that I ended up being friends with, and one of the board members worked for Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Wow.
He was like a regional manager. Peter Ebbs. Yeah, he was a regional manager, and they just knew of my art, knew of my ability because they were board members of the Arts Consortium, and I continued to go to the Arts Consortium the whole time I lived in Cincinnati prior to coming to Dayton.
Man, that's showing love back to where you come from. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I got my first art job came from the Arts Consortium. Yeah. When I was a teenager, my first art job was to put, and I'm definitely gonna do this. When I get done opening up this gallery that's down in the Wright Dunbar district. Would load art supplies onto a cart roll it up into the hood. You know,
Wow.
and do art projects for little kids.
Yeah, man, that's
You know,
super cool.
Oh yeah, just have them do stuff, and then boom, it's like a little art cart, and it was like a summer gig that I had. And from that point on, I always had little art jobs. You know, and I did other jobs, but I had little art jobs where even at the Arts Consortium, I was on their design team doing graphic design because they had a graphic designer in house, and so I was working with her and. I forget her name, but it was just this white lady, and she was real nice and real cool, and taught me a lot of stuff, a lot of the old school art production and design stuff. So I ended up really and never left graphic design. It's like to this day, I made sure that I was up on the creative suite and and doing all of that stuff, and I spent a lot of time doing that. Like I said, to this day, even as a job. So
on the KFC deal, getting that through.
Yes, getting that through Peter Ebbs.
Did you actually like sketch the logo, or?
Yeah, I went through the whole process of producing the commission from conception to finished product. It got framed, and the end result was that they was having this piece done because this was the first Kentucky Fried Chicken that was placed in a downtown. So it was like this experimental thing. And then they just started putting them in downtowns, all over. But, in Cincinnati, and so they had my piece in there. They had like this press conference and the whole nine. It was really something. It was a big deal.
How'd that make you feel?
They had
How'd it make you feel?
Again, like a pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. It made me feel professional. It didn't make me feel like, I'm better than the rest of these niggas I am.
Right.
I did it.
Right.
Nah. Yeah, I always had respect for other artists because artists is subjective.
Yes.
You could think you it and it's be like, and your stuff could be super polished and it could be next to some folk art. And that folk art will resonate with that people. They buying that.
Yep.
And then you'd be fussing like, man, I spent all that time doing this detail. Man, the proportions that look dead on Malcolm X, bro. and it's folk art, and it's like stuff like a kid might have did it, and you just could. And it's like, man, I always have respect and have a big love for it. And I'm a big fan of, like I said, black creativity. Right. And so I was always had some humility about that. And so when I go into competition with my works, I always know it depends on the judge's, opinion. Right, it's just the opinion. So, but yeah. So I got the commission. We did, the whole press conference. Little dude was on the news, the evening news, and, and all of this. And yeah, it was something. They had like an ad agency come in and handle all of those promotions, and so I got a chance to interact with them and and learn that stuff. And so it pulled me away from Central. In addition to, me, because the way that I came into Central, all the scholarships was gone. So I was just like, and I already had that proficiency, so I was able to go ahead and market my skills, so it was like, next thing you know, I was doing commissions all the time, and I never did end up. I worked in Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is where also Peter Ebbs, he got me that job because that was one of his stores. And he eventually became an entrepreneur. He left the company and had a couple of stores, had a couple of Kentucky Fried Chicken. And he commissioned me to do a smaller piece that went in one of his stores that was in Covington, Kentucky. So, wow. So that was pretty good. And then I was doing portraits out the wazoo. I was doing portraits for like, drug dealers, and, I was in that, and it was cool because that money was cool. I had some good experiences with being supported from the hood.
Right. So like eventually you venture off into actually teaching, right? So
again, that kind of thing it came real early, and because I'm such a big fan of art. It's like sharing, what I know about it. It was so natural, to where I was when I was in high school, like in the Arts Consortium. you know, I was, you know, Fred Bond, who was the director, you know, he would just throw stuff at me. He just felt like, you know, and Bing Davis is like that. You know, they throw your butt right in that water, and you gotta start swimming.
Right.
You know. and so like I said, just doing that whole neighborhood art cart thing, and the next thing you know, I'm doing summer camps. You know, just teaching art, specifically art. You know, and just managing the little kids and stuff, and inspiring them, and and the best thing that got me over in there was that I could demonstrate real good.
Okay.
I could see that I can get the most thug hard kid. You know, I'm at Colonel White, and them dudes, I could get their attention because I would sit down and start sketching. I could sketch real quick, and they would be like, "Yo, you know, it's like, what did he just do?" And then when you're organized, they respect you.
Right.
You know, and then when you know your stuff, which means, you know, pretty much means that you're competent, then they pick up on that energy, and then you can relate. You know, it was like I had no problems, you know, breaking them in. You know?
Right.
You know, I had methods and techniques based on this teaching experience. You know, because as an artist, you know, you have to use all those sensibilities. You have to be able to read the room and have good psychology. You know, toward stuff that you're doing, and when you're doing presentations and all this stuff, all of that, those artistic sensibilities just surface, you know, all the time. You know. Which is part of philosophy, part of my teaching philosophy. It wasn't really about trying to make you an artist. It was just trying to get you to experience those sensibilities that you're going to use in engineering and other places. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So that brings us to these pieces.
Yeah, I'm about to ask. So at this point in Junction, when you meet B-Nut, right? Hey, what's his name? What the people in the back?
B-Nut. Yeah, I met Jay. Yeah, I met.
So the distorted dollar,
high
man.
school.
So let's talk about the distorted dollar.
Oh yeah, distorted dollar. That's
the mural.
Yeah, that was shortly after I arrived here in Dayton.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I got this commission to do this mural that now is pretty beat up. That's over here on our Riverview.
Man, I haven't seen it in a while.
That, you know, somehow Miss Rogers, the art teacher over there.
Yeah, she was talking about,
but
shout out Miss Rogers, man.
Because, you know, Susan Kuntz, I didn't work with her.
Okay.
I didn't work with Susan
Well,
Kuntz.
she the best art teacher to me.
But she, you know what?
What did y'all like about her the most? How about that?
I'll tell you what I liked about her the most.
There we go.
And that is, she taught me how to have an identity in your classroom.
Miss Rogers
identity
was cool.
where when coming from out of the hallway, crossing into her classroom, you knew what to expect and you fell in line with it because of her atmosphere, her identity, the music she played.
Yeah,
and
she had
the
all
way
the
that she
latest
conducted,
music.
You know, her classroom. You know, and I was just like, ooh, and she did it with such like class and love. Boy, you get those kids to this day that come back and visit her.
Miss Rogers, it was the
It-
best
it-
teacher.
it's
She
an
was the
emotional
best
thing,
teacher.
boy.
She connected
Her
with
and
the
Roger
students.
got real cool.
She connected with the students. That's what it was.
She connected with the students
Yeah.
big time. She understood. She got a lot of soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, whole lot of
So
soul.
and that's how I met Pate, because she was talking
that's
about.
how I met Brody. He was on the team, the Mural team.
So what kind of kid was he? You know what I'm saying? Because he come here act like, you know what I'm saying, he cooler than the refrigerator. You know what I mean?
Like
Sitting
that.
outside. He's like,
Yeah, extremely mellow. Yeah. You know, he had a good crack game, meaning crack on people. Or,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just go snot on them up. You know, he was pretty cool.
He got
Cause,
jokes,
cause, yeah, because we was had jokes quite a bit, and I was so kind of green with coming in high schools in that setting to where I used to joke back with him. I used to
Yeah, Pate was
because I was
cool.
coming back from the Porter days where that was part of your upbringing.
Yeah, you had to be.
Was to be able
Snap.
to blast and be
Yeah.
able to snap, you know. Yeah, and it's a lot of cats. Man, that stuff never leave you, actually.
yeah.
You know,
Right.
you kind of refine it and.
Because I
present
still
in
got it.
different ways. Yeah. But Broderick, he was real mellow and real cool. But Broderick, he seemed to be more mature.
Okay.
Than all of the rest of them. You know, it was almost like after learning his experience, you know, then I was like, okay, so that's what that was.
Right.
You know, after he became like a full grown man, and we just relate on a grown man level.
Right.
I learned more things about him.
So I want to ask, what was your first impression of you feel me at the legendary Pate?
Man, Pate, he was already talked up because they was talking about the mural, and we was all in art class, and Miss Rogers had already was she was bigging up because it was at the Dayton Art Institute.
Yes.
That was the whole thing, and they was talking about they was gonna have this legendary artist come in, this big time artist come in. He was gonna only pick 5. I think it was 5 students.
Wow.
And so I already was like, I'm one of the students off top.
Okay.
That's just how, you know what I'm saying? So,
Manifesting.
yeah, man, and that's exactly what it was. Because I couldn't draw better than, man, it was a whole lot of the team that we had, it was Richard.
Richard Hadcock.
Richard Hadcock.
Cadero sisters, Dee Dee.
Dee Dee.
And her sister. What was your friend, your girl?
Sharita. Oh yeah, Sharita Allen. Sharita Allen Bradshaw. Man, it was a lot. And Caleb.
He was a puppy, but he had that gift.
Man, it was some dogs on there. Like everybody could draw like way better than me. Richard, man, Richard's still he an artist. Yeah, Richard, an artist at everything. He can sing, dance, draw, whatever.
Oh, yeah, he was
act.
the
whole thing. He
an artist. Yeah, he's an artist. So
perform on stage.
Yeah,
do the whole 9.
Yeah. Shout out to Richard Hadcock.
And we developed the concept to where they participated in the design, in the development of it, and I had this natural ability to compose, meaning arrange elements, into the space, into the the 2-dimensional space, and even 3-dimensional too. But yeah, I could organize all of the elements that's gonna happen in there. It was like
you was curating at that point.
One of the fun things. Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. Yeah, in a very specific way. But Miss Rogers, she primarily chose the cast.
Okay.
Because she knew the talent, she knew all the students, and so she plucked them. She handpicked.
Wow.
Everybody.
And she picked my man B, man.
Yeah. Well, I really picked myself. Really, I'm like, cause when she told me about it, I'm like, yeah, I'm on it, and I was helping out with everything he needed. I'm in the process. So
wow.
Before he came, I was just like, yeah.
He showed the passion of that he wanted to be there.
And that's funny because the Wall of Queens, Broderick was over on that set. When that was produced.
The Wall of Queens for the with the I was just telling somebody about this. It's down at the
it's down in Cincinnati, Duke Energy Center,
the
convention center down there. That's a 5-star convention center.
Right.
It's a real central piece that's downtown in Cincinnati, and on the 2nd floor, I got a scratchboard piece that I did with some students down
big
in
piece too, and it's nice. The Wall of Queens is nice. It's like
it's
4 black.
7 by 44 feet. It's 288 pounds.
Oh.
And the panels each is 11 by 14 inches. And I just closed out another deal with a law firm that I'm gonna do another one.
Yeah.
So to make reference of size, right? Mm-hmm. Are you doing this just visually, stepping back, looking at this? Are you putting it together first? Are you making small scales first? What kind of study?
Okay, okay, going back to the Kentucky Fried Chicken Commission. Yeah, you do a series of drawings based on what the objective is. Mm-hmm. So we want these elements in it, especially if they're images. Mm-hmm. Representational images. Meaning. The opposite of abstract. So it's something you can recognize and know what it is. It's not ambiguous.
Right.
It's directly. Okay, yeah. That's a tree.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you got those elements, and then you go back and you just get creative as to how you want to compose it, and you think about what materials you want to use. What if you could do several different techniques, you might line that technique up with the project. Or it might be something that you just do, and that's what it is. Like, I paint, and it's going to be a painting, and that kind of thing. So, but I could do scratch boards, and I like doing it. So, so I end up doing scratch boards. But with Kentucky Fried Chicken, you know, I did that in Techno cubism.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole thing is like
Straight
lines. Yeah. Oh, it's like got a multiple. The thing was basically about Cincinnati, so it's got a lot of Cincinnati architecture in it, and people, and you know the skyline, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, so you go through these series of sketches, and you have a couple of rounds of critiques, you know, with the client, and you get to a point where they say, yeah, we like that, and they sign off, and then you go into actual production.
So like let's for the people that don't know, he has done a lot of the art in the city.
Oh yeah, we're gonna run down some of them for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like okay,
Yeah,
like he's known for like his murals, and you know what I'm saying. The murals are major in the city. Like he got So
I mean, I'll put the bow on the distorted dollar mural. So where's y'all created that? What was it, in school where y'all went somewhere?
Yeah. I was gonna say that. Yeah, there was an after school situation where it might have been either a couple days a week after school.
yeah, I think it was a couple of days.
It was either a couple
week,
days, or it might have been it might have been intensified where it was every day. I think it was every day because
It was
we had
every day.
30 days.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it was every day.
It was every day.
Yeah.
It was every day.
It was every day, because we had to develop it, and then I had to develop the scaled model drawing, and then we gridded it. Did a grid in order to help us draw it up there to get, you know, correct proportions and all that.
We all had to draw individual pieces.
They had to draw different parts
and
of
submit
it,
pieces.
and I was just coaching them through it, and you know, and just, you know, it was like a problem solving,
Right.
you know, situation too, and we just worked our way through it, and we had the scale model drawing, so we knew what colors was going to go where, and all that. So at that point, it was just about executing the plan, pretty much just like, you know, construction firm would do with an architectural plan. You know, they would execute that bad boy,
Right.
utilizing the materials and whatnot. In this case, it was acrylic paint.
Acrylic, yeah.
And the surface, it was like a hard wood. We did like a wood. It was on a hard wood surface, so it wasn't like canvas or anything. And it was pretty big too. It was probably about
5 by 9. No, it was bigger than that.
Yeah, it was bigger than that. It was like, I think it was 12 across and maybe 8. Yeah, it was like 12 by 8 feet.
I don't
you
know. I can't even remember. That was so long ago, man.
And I like going scale because scale can condition you to do smaller things. So if I'm like these big giant murals, and then I go do a 6-foot painting, that ain't that.
I thought it'd be the other way around.
No, because your conditioning is all out here in this scale. You doing 50 feet and 10 feet high. So quite naturally, you come and do something that's like 24 inches by 18. You can really knock that out, because that ain't gonna seem like nothing, because you're conditioned to doing stuff with that covers much more space.
Wow, man. So our friend Telefeller Sebastian, who's having a art pop up tomorrow, you know what I'm saying, in the art gallery downtown. Please get with me so I can give you the exact address. But yeah, he speaks on, you know, them keeping art in the classroom and stuff like that, because, you know, like to save the arts. Why is art so important for, especially, you know, like marginalized people like ourselves?
Well, because it's an outlet for expression, and it could be a means for economics for you. You know, because sometimes people say what it means to be an artist, and I say it means I got a job. You know,
Right.
You know, kind of first and foremost, because, you know, it's like you got the skills to hunt and bring back the kill and feed your family, and feed yourself, and all that.
Yeah.
So it's like it's important, but the expression part comes from when you go somewhere else, like I said, to earn a living, but you still have this art to express yourself if you want to, if you don't get too far out of practice with it. And because there are a lot of people that find their way back to, you know, that period where they're expressing themselves through the arts, you know, not just visual art, but through the art. And like I said, the artistic skill and practice, you know, that you're doing, these are transferable skills. You know, to, you know, like
NFTs nowadays.
Right.
There you go.
The best.
There you go. NFTs. I mean, you know, blockchain.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that though? So how do you feel about art going to the digital and what's going on with that?
I'm embracing it all.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm embracing it all. I've never been one that had a judgment on that kind of stuff. I always looked at that as like part of this evolutionary process, and and it's not going to hurt me. At least, I don't know if it could, but it's not showing, that it is.
So you got NFTs? Do you have your NFTs? Have you created an NFT yet?
I've got digital artwork that could be NFTs.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. I'm in an educational period where, like a lot of us are.
Yeah.
I want to know it so thoroughly because I got some fundamentals. I got some because it's still abstract to a lot of people.
Right.
But I know what it is by way of its technology. But in terms of like its full function and full avenues, I'm in the meantime while I'm getting the education, because I know the fundamentals, I'm producing art that when I get to that point, I either consult someone, I'll just transition right into
be plug and play
the NFT market.
Yeah.
Plug and play. In the meantime, producing art the way that I do. And I'm making a living at doing it. It's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Because I don't like to be in a rush of stuff that's shiny in art. It's like, when you coming up and doing your thing, and it's like airbrush and airbrushing your clothing. It's like that thing, and it's like then you got your relatives like, ooh, James, how come you ain't doing this? Like,
You just
because
airbrush
they at
clothing.
some festival and they see a dude with a long line.
Yeah.
It's like, and me, I'm thinking like, yeah, that's not my lane.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though that wasn't the term back then.
Right.
But I knew that, okay, I'm earning money. I'm doing my art. It's like, it's cool.
Yeah, that
it's
ain't
like,
me. I'm
all
doing
I want
me.
to do is just.
I want to do it my way.
All I want to do is just experience it. So I
So I know how to do it.
Did it. Blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah,
I
and
can
had
do
it
that.
going and even doing illustrations and stuff where I'm using an
So you'll
airbrush
know what you're doing,
just
yeah.
to do the technique and experience it. But it wasn't a draw for me to go into it to make money.
So like speaking of which, in 2008, Bing Davis started curating art for the youth violence exhibit, and this is when he started putting together those 13 paintings, and then so like walk us through that, like when you're putting together those pieces with Bing for that purpose of youth violence.
Well, it really wasn't created really for that purpose. It's like that purpose was just in there, just naturally, by default. And I had produced most of those way before they was exhibited. Like I think the first one I did was in 2000 or either 01 maybe. And I was doing them for my own to sort of it was like my own therapy because of the grief I was feeling, as an artist, and I was just like throwing a tantrum within myself, and it was so extreme, black on black, the rise of it, it was so extreme to me, to where it shocked me, to where I wanted to be equally as dramatic and equally as shocking because it was extreme.
Right.
So did you get any kind of pushback from that type of art?
Plenty. But it was very small compared to the support and the appreciation that people expressed toward me.
We can actually put it in trade view on there, and then we can look at some of it up here as well. So run it back a little bit, and then there you go. Just run it back. We're gonna go to commercial real quick.
Go to commercial.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got it.
there. There you go. There you go, B. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
And where's this at to give us a reference?
I don't know. There might have been in Indianapolis.
Yes.
Man, I don't know. Where is that?
So I remember the hoodie you had on, which I thought the hoodie was so fly for what it actually meant.
Ken killing Ken. So explain that exhibit. Like what these pieces that we're seeing. What?
Yeah, so I was producing pieces. Yeah, like I said, for my own therapy, and I knew that I would show them, but it wasn't the kind of thing like, oh, the world needs to see these. You know,
right.
Oh, I'm gonna put these out there. Oh,
yeah, it was more like a stress reliever.
Like, ooh, I'm gonna, you know, it
right.
was because I didn't want to really profit from it. It's tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I'm not wanting to really profit from it, like, and really pimp it in that sense. It was like something that that was kind of sacred in that sense, because it was like these sacrifices was being made, you know, due to the ills of this world and this society, and it was like these are like sacrificial lambs that end up happening where we get to the point where this is where we're at, you know, mm-hmm. with the distribution of guns and the mentalities and all of the all of the hyper marketing and that breeding of desperation, you know,
right.
because of the environment and
so like to put it in like a way, like it was your like personal private protest
really.
over what was going on,
and that's what I would say sometimes when I would go and talk about it. Mm-hmm. It was like a personal private protest, mm-hmm. you know, to the point where the full series I couldn't really bring myself to even produce it, because I had like tons of sketches that mm-hmm. where I'm going into painting and introducing color, and it got, the imagery really got just even more like frustrating and shocking. You can see the frustration and like this shame, but I always, part of the whole system, it's sort of like the design and the compositional system, was to interject our greatness, mm-hmm. weave our greatness into this tragedy. Yes. Always.
Yes.
Oh, always. So yes. I always had that those elements in there, because I know who we are.
Right. Like one of my favorite is the Sphinx. You know what I mean? Because the Sphinx nose was shot out. Mm-hmm. So I seen that and I was like, man, like that is super dope. And then there's another one in there where, like you spoke about in this interview, where there's a brother that's wearing, like a CSU sweatshirt, mm-hmm. and you know what I'm saying, he's shot, so he didn't get shot in the foot lift. So it's so much in it.
Yeah, so much.
And it's really kind of like just telling the stories that's there in real life.
Right.
You know, this is real life, stuff that's happening, and that's what we do as artists, fundamental as artists, and now we're going to my philosophies and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think that we're recorders. Mm-hmm. Always have been scientists in that way. Yeah. It's just like it's just like when scientists early on, they didn't have no cameras. They would do sketches of the various rocks or various plants,
right?
And then it was recorded.
Exactly.
And fundamentally that's what we do on many different layers and levels. Mm-hmm. It could be about any given subject that we're recording.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the Renaissance period, for example.
For example, they were recording that period. Mm-hmm. And that's what film does and camera does. It's the most sort of recent versions of producing visual art, with film and cameras and so on and so forth. And now we're at NFTs.
Yes.
NFTs.
Non-fungible tokens, man. So you also had the Ohio Arts Council Individual Excellent Grant, and you were 2-time Montgomery County Artist Fellowship. Mm-hmm. Walk us through those awards and exactly how did you obtain them?
Well, the Ohio Arts Council, they're the agency that sort of distributes the resources throughout the state, and every state has this type of agency. Mm-hmm. And they distribute the resources out into the artistic community. Okay. And so they have a competition for individual artists, and they have this competition goes throughout all of the arts. you know, theater, and so on and so forth. So you have playwrights that could win and
wow.
that kind of thing. And so the visual arts component, you know, I think it's like 3 stacks that you can grant that you can get. It might be 5. I haven't done it in so long.
Inflation, man, probably 10 now.
Yeah, I think it's 5. I think it's 5. Yeah, they're at 5. I'm shortcutting them. Yeah, and you just basically follow. You know, have a set of guidelines that you follow. That includes, you know, your whole profile. You know, bio, this and past work, or it's all of this written stuff is supported by your images, which is your past works, and you have to write, you know, an artist statement. And you know, and that's the application. You submit it, and they have a team of jurors, pretty much your peers and art administrators and people that's, you know, I don't know, staff people or whatever, and they evaluate it and they award, you know, the artist, and and it's a really cool thing, and you could do pretty much anything you want to do, you know, with the money, but short of, you know, you're not supposed to go out and buy a car,
right?
But you could pay your studio rent. You know, you can buy materials.
But an art rent like yourself, you're gonna go spend that on materials you're gonna use for something else.
Yep. You can travel. You can travel. You know, if you want to go and see some masterpieces that's in Europe or in Africa.
I want to ask you that. So, like, where has art taken you that was just mind blowing to see in person?
Now I'll tell you, not very many places actually. You know, my experiences have been primarily, you know, domestic because, you know, and I'm not ashamed to say, you know, I don't like to fly.
The cool cat don't like to fly.
The cool cat do not like to fly. It's like I do not like the discomfort with flying. I don't even want to fly to Cincinnati. It's like I just do not like to fly. So I chose not to do all of this abroad stuff. Yeah. You know, but you know, but I've experienced, you know, the hot hubs that's here in the United States, you know, New York and Miami, you know, and LA and Houston, and you know, some of these places that have really, you know, Arizona, you know, they have some really hot and good, you know, art hubs and museums and stuff. And Ohio has some pretty decent art museums. So they have good art museums.
Absolutely.
Art museum in Toledo and in Cincinnati, and even the Dayton Art Institute. You know, it's a special.
I love going down there. Love going down there. So, besides yourself, who is somebody's art that you just value or treasure? Like you just love it to death.
Oh man, it's so
artists.
So many.
Yeah, like artists.
So many, and it's like Charles White. You know, I like all of those artists that come from, you know, they consider them old masters. Where, you know, like Charles White and Elizabeth Catlett and John Biggers. It's just a host of these artists that you know, B-Nut asked about, you know, what do you say pertaining to the whole professional thing. It's like, you know, seeing those guys' works, it sort of catapulted my confidence, you know, into feeling like a professional, you know, because, you know, I was feeling like, man, you know, I could end up with that same set of skills,
right,
you know, as they have, and so I was off and running with that. But you know, I like my contemporaries a whole lot.
Okay.
You know, everybody from Kehinde Wiley to who I want to say. I mean, these names are just zipping across my head right now. Alice Walker. You know, it's it's a lot. Bradford. I mean, man, I'm telling you, it is so many that's running in my head. I can't really pluck them out.
Well, like a couple of mine is, of course, I mean, Your work is amazing. We got Bing Davis, legendary Bing Davis. We have Daria Love, who was on the show before, and also Salvador Dali. Man, it's something about the way he does. Because I watched studies on him where he would go to. It was a place where he would go with his grandmother, where like water would wash up and it would waste away at these sand dunes, and it turned into these weird little shapes. And he found inspiration in that to make some of the most perversion of art, but I love every minute of it. I like so this is up my alley. I like art that invokes thought and passion, and like the visuals. It's just shock you in a certain respect. I mean, like art should make you think.
Right, and it's sometimes artists will use that element of surprise too, where we would do something unexpected, like you mentioned, Dolly.
Yes.
It's totally unexpected to
Yeah.
have clocks.
Oh my God!
It's totally unexpected. So it draws attention. And so when you look at Killin, it has that element of you don't expect for something like that to be someone's vision. Pretty much.
Yes, the shock, the shock effect.
And then you turn around and they're able to actually execute it to make it consumable for you, to where it's something that you can explore and read. Visually read it and look at these images and have it speak to you in these multiple ways. It's one of the objectives of an artist. Like I said, I'm producing it. It wasn't something that I was looking to just turn into like a marketing machine. But I knew that I would show it, from making it. But like I said, that was never the intent. It was just to sort of enlighten and.
But like the more provocative, the more you know what I mean. Yeah.
And I didn't steer away from that because I was like I said, I was just following my intuition and my honesty as an artist. And so therefore, things could come across your head and you could say, no, don't do that because such and such or this or that might feel a certain way or whatever. And you have to just fight through that.
Right.
To the point where when the concept enters, you don't even reject it for 1 second. It's like instant. Yes, say that, say this, say this, say that. Put this, put that. Oh, that right there. Okay, this is what this is what I want this to do when someone look at it. And so and you just and then me trusting, hey, this is art. I'm an artist. This is art.
Right. So eventually you finalized it, and then you make 13 of them, correct? But at first it was at 12. So was it like one more that was still on your heart that like you had to do, or was it originally like a bigger series and then you shortened it?
Okay, first I want to say, earlier I said Alice Walker, I'm going to say Carl Walker.
Okay. There we go.
I'm going to get killed.
Retraction.
I'm getting
I'll take that points, man. Okay.
So say the question.
So like after you made the 13 pieces for the Killin, was it originally a like a bigger piece? Is it an ongoing piece?
Yeah, it was. Yes, and it still is an ongoing series actually.
Yeah.
Because again, the private protest, because I had vowed like as long as this is happening, even if they get discovered after I'm long gone or something,
right?
I'm going to express what I feel about this because as long as it's continuing, then I'm going to, I do decide else it's going to do something because it's so many facets and so many avenues to make a point of the senselessness, but I also feel like it, it has to move to a place where if it hasn't already, move to a place where it really changes some lives, and redirect someone that might be going down a certain path, But the forces out here is so powerful, it's so powerful because it's like you're not in the direct experience that some of these kids are being brought up in to where that end up being a part of their life, and they're like the next sort of recruitment of teenagers and adults and young adults that participate.
Right, because I mean, like also like after you finish your 13th one, like that's when your nephew was actually killed in Cincinnati, correct?
Yeah, Uriah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man,
I always looked at any of those guys that would get killed. I always felt a sense of family.
Yeah.
Always. So Uriah was like direct, you know, and he was 19 years old.
Man, all them years still in front of him. Man.
Yeah,
I'm
all
sorry
the
to hear
years in
that.
front of him. Yeah. You know.
So how did that affect your art?
I had a nephew. I had another nephew that was, you know, murdered down in Cincinnati, you know, about a year or so ago, and he was just in the crossfire. Yep. You know, they was after his partner's brother, and since his partner brother wasn't around, they went after him, and he was in the car with his partner, and they just, you know, shot him both up.
What do you think? What you got a question real quick, BJ?
Yeah, I'm just saying, how did that affect your art? Like, did that, you know, like did you draw any pieces?
It angered me, you know, and I felt, you know, just that kind of raw emotion, and after maybe about a couple of weeks after that, you know, I went back to one of my sketchbooks that's got, you know, my you know, different sketches, the planned pieces, you know, okay, here's what I'm gonna take this into this oil paint or whatever, and look for them, and just to see which one I could pluck out to represent, you know, this extreme personal, this interpersonal, you know, experience with Black on Black. You know, so yeah, Choya, that was his name.
Oh man, R.I.P. King, man, for sure. So what do you think? What do you think could stop or offset the black on black crime, like the killing Ken? Well, what is something you think would promote us to move past this point of condition where we're killing each other over and over again, in your estimation?
You know, it's a lot because you're dealing with, you know, people's personal lives. But I would say the strongest, most comprehensive, the most well thought out, planned, unified rites of passage, long-term program that deals with the cradle all the way up to a point of, you know, okay, we're going to release you into society.
Right.
And where they might be as old as 21 and still involved in it. When I say 20, I say 21 because I wish someone would have told me.
You're still a child at 21.
That it takes you longer than 21 or 18 to 21 years to grow up. So, and when I say that's when I say comprehensive, it's just a thought. I mean, because you asked me the question. So all of the mechanics for that to happen is a whole nother thing, because you already have a whole bunch of existing rites of passage, you know, programs, but something that's just on a whole nother level, nationwide, you know, the full buy-in to the best minds that we have, because we got a lot of good minds, and it's spent about a good 5 years of just planning it out thoroughly, detailed to the bone, especially the component of analyzing what you're up against.
Right, absolutely.
Analyze what you're up against, then you will know exactly the strategy that you'll need to meet your objective.
Right.
And if you miss on that, you know, you got to be able to recognize when you miss on that. You know, but we have to go there. We have to make the right assessment.
Right.
If you don't make the right assessment and you make the wrong assessment, you can go down the wrong path of trying to solve it for generations.
Yeah, and to me, that is an excellent point. I do feel like, I mean, we need the mentor to step in. I mean, I would say I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for the OGs that kept me out of stuff. The ones who say, keep drilling that basketball, and you know what I mean? Like, get out of here. You know what I mean? We definitely need structure when it comes to that. But it's this movie called Chirac, produced by Spike Lee. And it got terrible reviews, man, because they basically try to pit him as it being sexist, but you got to look at his point. Well, what his point was the women could potentially change this by saying, by saying this, I refuse to date a drug dealer. I refuse to date someone that's out here killing these brothers. And we're not dating you guys until you stop and cut it out. If dudes no longer have women that are into the thugs, wouldn't dudes like change? I mean, we see dudes wearing pink hair for females today.
Women do influence men.
Couldn't women step in and be the mother of?
When you say for females, you're saying to attract them, or what do you
Well,
mean?
like
to attract the females.
like for instance, like a woman says, "I'm not going to date a drug dealer. I'm not going to date."
I get that point though. I get that point.
So like, what if the women band together and saying, "Hey, if y'all don't straighten up, then y'all ain't getting none."
Have you seen the movie?
That's almost certainly would work.
Have you seen that movie though? Yeah. Have you seen that movie though? You talking about the Spike Lee movie? What's the name of the movie?
Chirac. I swear that will work. If the women band together and said, "No, I refuse to date a man that is dangerous. I want a man that's gentle with me. I don't want to."
And again, that's rites of passage. You know, it's female inclusive. So therefore, females have to go through the process of learning how to not be enticed by that, because it's something very very natural about that. About being drawn to that kind of confidence and that kind of self-assurance, even though it might be superficial, but it's something to that. So that would have to be dealt with,
Right.
but it's almost certainly right. I mean, because the sisters that do that, they end up not with the dude.
Yep.
And the dude end up with the sister that will.
Yep.
Or the female that will.
Yep. See that?
Because of course it happens with all races. So
nation building, man.
Yeah, exactly. But see, rites of passage it's like this. It's this consistent thing, and what the program and all that stuff will be, and and it being well thought out, and like I said, making the right assessments. I mean, can you imagine when aerospace scientists make the wrong assessment? What occurs?
Oh God, yeah,
what occurs. So it's very critical. But a lot of the stuff that I talk about, it's sort of overlooked because it's so simplistic to where it can get overlooked to where it's like, it can't be just that. That's too easy. That's too simple. Whatever. And it's like, no, it's like actually like a really comprehensive program of rites of passage that happens throughout the school year. In the summer, this is like major commitment because the situation is major.
Yes,
so
nothing
really that soft or mediocre is going to put a dent in this because the forces, like I said, make an assessment. The forces is all of this commercialism and what we
throwing
value
money while they twerking and all that, guns on the camera,
all of that stuff of what we value. That stuff is very seductive.
Yes.
And here it is, you're going to present that in the environment of a kid and a teenager and someone that's trying to learn who they are and become mature. It just prolongs it.
Right.
And now you got social media where, like I said, these creative or expression means to, go on Twitter or TikTok or all these places where you could, try to get likes and all this and all of that kind of, that kind of need for, for that. And, all of that stuff would have to be addressed,
right?
In a and then the buy-in, all of the village would have to buy in, the parents and whatnot. And it's like, okay, it's rites of passage for you, to where,
there's a proven system that'll get you right to where we're going to get you at.
Yeah, it's going to get you through there. It's going to have you in a high quality situation. We're gonna make sure you're literate. We're gonna make sure that if you like dyslexic or something like that and you're struggling, we're gonna get you through that, because that's one of the things that through certain specific practices you can get kids through that. There's a lot of kids that when they're in that situation,
they fall in that gap right there.
Yeah, they fall in the gap. It's like their confidence with being and learning academics can fall when in actuality, literacy doesn't have anything to do with intelligence.
Right. Right.
But if you match literacy with intelligence, you can apply your intelligence and use literacy from your intelligence. This is all the better. But we have to make sure of that.
Right.
You have to don't let anyone fall through the cracks.
Right.
And this is part of just a rites of passage program where it's just extremely comprehensive and it's a lot of scientific input will go into it. You know what I mean?
Man.
Where it's a lot of study, a lot of real good study, and it's a lot of stuff that's already out there as well that would have to be sort of tapped into that could help, formulate, the picture or the plan that could be executed. And when I say buy-in, it would be it'll be a program for that. Okay, what's the assessment? How are we going to get parents to actually buy in?
Right.
Like every little detail just has to be considered so that boom, when it's kicking and jumping off and you include all of the rites of passage programs that exist around the country so far, in that 5 years, see where they at, plug them in, and try to get completely unified where we've got this national rites of passage that's well known and every kid is looking forward to going through. Every parent know that their kid is going through this.
Yeah.
In all these school districts and the whole nine. And then next thing you know, it's like females do know how to
Right.
Well, the desire to even be a drug dealer would be erased.
Right, exactly.
We really erase it because part of this program is providing outlets where you don't have to do that, and it'll be certain expectations placed on to where, okay, you're gonna have to literally earn being able to have wealth. You're gonna have to earn this through this rites of passage and learn what this is. So you're actually going to be learning about, Wall Street types of stuff. Anything that's dealing with economics.
Are you familiar with that Claude Anderson book, Powernomics?
Right, that's what
Like
I'm saying.
the-
See, for
yeah,
instance,
it's like
it's you got all of these resources out here all ready to tap into, to plug into some sort of a, really serious comprehensive program. And
Peanut,
when
you read that one
when you
yet?
ask me that,
Yeah.
Powernomics.
That's where I can go. That's the only place I can go with it. Other than that, that the programs do what they're doing. Me as an individual, I'll keep doing what I'm doing, with my art and working with students. I'm committed to being, into art education as long as I'm in an art career. No matter what I'm doing, I could be doing all kind of grand commissions and being taken here and there. But, I will always be committed to being in a classroom or doing workshops or, teaching. Oh, absolutely.
So like you spoke about being commissioned. Let's talk about some of your favorite murals that you've done all over the city. My personal favorite, which is the one I just saw today. I didn't even know it was your work. I'm be honest. I literally went to Roosevelt Commons today to work out, and I came out. I said, "Man, that is amazing." Went out there and looked at it, and then while I was doing research, I was like, "Oh, man, bro did it." So now I started looking through the other ones you've done. I saw the Wright Dunbar one. That one I actually did a photo shoot there before. I'm like, man, brothers work all through here. Like,
I'm telling you,
so I mean, like you was as dating as Gettysburg at this point. You know what I mean?
Man, Rosedale and Riverview.
Okay, man,
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know anything about a lot of that stuff, man, because I'm in that bubble studio, just doing what I do and just working with people and whatever, and to where I be honest with you, I haven't paid much attention to any of the publicity or reputation.
That's right, because you're not even on like social media and stuff like that.
No.
Oh my God! Look,
not even on social media, but
you can hashtag.
like I was telling. I'm gonna switch back to Broderick.
Broderick.
What's coming to B-Nut, but like I was telling them, I'm more interested in learning about it and being up on it, being educated about it than I am being a participant.
Right.
So much. So see, I was that dude that 6 months before the iPhone came out, I was that dude that looked at Steve Jobs' 2-hour presentation.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to know. And so then I'm telling people like, oh man, this tech get ready to come out with these phones, get ready. And
the phone come out.
And it was like, oh yeah, and the iPhone, it came on out and it was, all this stuff. And I still didn't get a cell phone. I didn't get a cell phone until my son was born 6 years ago.
Wow, man.
That was the only reason why I got it, because of that,
But
when I got it, I embraced it. I went through it, learned it, read about it, this and all this stuff, and all the way to where it's like, they rely on you to just be intuitive with the technology, and it works. You figure your way out through it, and it's like, no, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of it. I learned about social media. I'm always reading about social media what could be the next thing as it pertains to that kind of stuff. You know.
So why haven't you got
because it shows
Facebook
the
page
of man, you know.
Right.
And I just love that, and all of that stuff is creative endeavors to me.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like I just love it.
But I want to let you know, it is so many people who have taken so many pictures in front of your work, and you really have your own hashtag. And when you go there, it's going to be all your work already online. Literally, you can hashtag your name.
And you can own your hashtag now.
And you can own your hashtag, by the way.
Yeah, own your own hashtag now.
I am with that crypto.
So that's what I want to know. Why haven't you got it on social media?
Well, you know, I haven't gotten on social media because you know, I'm not interested in just the raw social thing. I'm more interested in
Because I ain't social,
purely
Because I ain't social.
Purely the economics.
Capitalist, baby.
Yeah, purely that. And so after you know getting this gallery, it's like, okay, yeah, now it's time for now I got a real purpose.
Yeah.
You know, to go ahead and explore. And the good thing about it is that, you know, I can hit the ground running real fast with it because, you know, I know what it is and people that I'll be working with know what it is. So, and what that means is that I'll have ideas as to how to manipulate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
fresh eyes on it.
Fresh eyes on it.
Yeah.
Fresh eyes on
Yeah.
it. Exactly. Doing stuff where they think some kid thought of. but it's like, you know, I'm so locked in on being imaginative, you know, because imagination trumps all my skills.
Right.
So some kid who has an imagination, it tear my skills up.
Oh, wow. That's a bar right there. That's a bar. I like that.
So I have to make sure that I have some means to stay on top of my, you know, imagination. Which means, you know, you have to be extremely open.
Right.
You know, it just can't be that. I'm open-minded. No, it's another level. It's some levels.
Yeah,
to,
it taps into your soul a little bit.
Yeah. It's some levels to that openness thing to where, you know, I'm not like this overly critical person of all the different things because it's always some madness, you know, some method, you know, to the madness, and I'm not quick to just judge something, you know, real quick to go there. You know, it's like, nah, wait and see what it is.
Pace it out a little bit.
You know, pace it out, yeah, and be fair about it, and you know, and it's like it might be something you don't quite understand, you know, so. You know, just reserve any kind of judgment, you know, because most things is subjective, anyways, and it's difficult to be objective you know, within you know, having to like have emotion and show emotion.
Right.
Because it's like I'm a big Bengals fan, right?
Okay.
Huge. It's like, hey, Cincinnati.
Congratulations
in my blood,
on making the
in
Super
my
Bowl.
blood. Right.
Congratulations.
But I'm the
Yeah.
I'm the most objective Bengal fan
Right.
that anyone would ever know. To where other Bengals fans hate me.
Right, yeah. Like,
You know, because are you truly a fan? Because I bet a friend of mine $100 that the Bengals wouldn't win 3 games. The year that I think they might have won 4, but they might have just won those 3. But he's like, I'll give you a game, and I was like, okay. I still love the Bengals, but me feeling like I know this team, you know,
You
I was
bet
like,
against your
yeah,
own
bet against
and he had to rip me the $100 bills, you know, and it was like
you made money,
But no, because you know your team. You know your team.
Wait a second. You made money betting against your own team.
Because he know the team.
because I was being objective about what I saw in this team.
I like that.
You know, it's just like I believe that the Bengals really didn't deserve to win the Super Bowl because it was something about just the football gods. Just was like,
That's a headline.
No, seriously, you got away with that line.
James Pate said the Bengals didn't deserve to win.
Over and over again, and now the big dance, and they got this fine defense. I'm not punishing them.
Yeah.
It was like the spirit was like, no,
y'all ain't
we're not
gonna
gonna
win this.
we're not gonna do that again.
Yeah.
You know, not for this game.
Right, not for this game.
You got it off with Tennessee, you know, and these other teams. And it's like, no, you're gonna have to step up to the integrity of that position, so that you can earn that truthfully and not have no players in there that can't block a dynamic or a gifted quarterback.
Right.
You know, we don't even really know how good he could be.
Right.
You know, if he could stay upright. You know,
Right.
It's like, come on, man, come on. So I accepted that loss, You know, and I'm still proud of the Bengals.
There we go. See
You know,
that,
and
man?
I- and I didn't,
Look, he's a
and I
pessimist
wasn't-
all the way to the end.
No,
Nah, man, I love
I'm
the
telling
Bengals,
you.
though. He's like,
See,
man,
you
but
call
it's
it,
terrible.
but you
I'm
call
being
it that. I call it objectivity.
Objectivity.
I'm just being objective.
Objectivity.
All the way to the point to where when I saw L.A., you know, on the podium after their parade and that kind of thing, I started feeling happy for them. I felt happy for them.
Word.
Yeah, y'all was like, you know, especially when they was up there all wasted, so that's gonna make you chuckle.
Yeah.
You know, so
They out there, no shirt on, drunk.
yeah,
just
you
laying
know,
like,
it's like, man, they having a good time. You
Yeah.
know, they earned that victory right
Right.
there, and I just hope we can address whatever issues and try to get back there in the next, you know, next season, year after year after.
Y'all
you know,
will.
it's like, come on,
Y'all
come
will.
on, let's get it, let's learn from it, and let's get back there and go on and take it with the right integrity from that O-line position.
Right.
Come on.
So, but like back to the art, right? So, man, salute to that for sure.
Yeah.
But
Sidebar.
have you ever made art and literally like you did not like the outcome of it?
Yeah, but I mean, but the world never was.
Yeah, exactly what I said.
You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. It would just, you know, wouldn't end up getting shown.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been times where, you know, where you might struggle with some pieces and struggle with some decisions that you have to make about it, to where you end up willing the piece to a completion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of
So
like,
just
let's just
from
finish
sheer
this up.
will.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of like mental energy and creative energy to do that, to where it could, if you have to do that too much, it could discourage you from producing your work because you don't want to go through that.
Right.
You know, and a lot of artists, you know, coming through being like a teenage artist and even being an adult as an artist, it's one of the reasons why they production slow up. Because it takes that energy and it's a real thing, to where experiencing that takes a lot, because, you know, you might be painting over stuff a lot, or you know you're second guessing, and you know, and you might be running out of time because it might be a time sensitive situation, to where just expending that, you just be like, I don't want to experience that.
Right.
You know, so you have to just be able to have your techniques and get on through that piece and keep it moving.
Right.
You know.
So like one of my favorite projects also was the one that was at the Dayton Skyscraper exhibit, the one you did for Michael Wright. That thing looks identical. Like the painting looked more like him than him. You know what I mean?
Actually, that was a scratch board.
Oh, a scratch
That
board.
was a scratch board piece. Yeah.
Okay, so like walk us through
Yeah.
that process of putting that together. Was there a picture of him that you had, or you just did you visually?
Well, with skyscrapers, you know, that process is that, you know, artists is charged with going out in the community and finding an African American that's had an impact on their community and abroad. So, you know, so it's some very, very famous people, you know, in that lineup that is from Dayton. And so Michael Wright was my choice.
There we
you
go.
know, and so and once you do it, because we have to write an artist statement, you know, about the piece and so on and so forth. So,
How long have you
I
been
just
a part of the Skyscrapers event?
What'd you say?
How long have you been a part of the Skyscrapers event?
It's been going on about 10 years. So, yeah. Actually, the first year is the first year that I didn't put a piece in that's going to be exhibited at the Shooter Center, but I am going to put a piece in.
Okay.
It was just that I was just so congested with you know, with assignments and work stuff, to where, you know, I just couldn't produce.
So what is
my
the
skyscraper that I'm doing this year is Keep Buyers.
Oh my God, legend.
for the people that don't know? Tell us about what the Skyscrapers event is.
Okay. Well, I mean, after we get our skyscrapers and then we do a piece on them, which involves, you know, I just contact Michael Wright, set up an appointment, went down to his office and interviewed him, you know, talked to him, and then I took pictures of him at that time.
Okay.
So I had real nice, crisp, good pictures, and then I just built, based on our conversation, I built a theme around him, you know, because, you know, he has an engineering background, so I wanted to include that and talk about that, and then I used these bars in it, you know, just to kind of represent, you know, that profession, and you know, and I even used, I found what was that, like a pattern of some mechanical stuff, because when he was working at GM, that was one of his assignments. You know, he was working on their braking systems and stuff. So I found a patent of some braking systems and included that in there. You know, just to kind of
to really make it personalized,
personalizing and sort of three-dimensionalize, you know, his story, because, you know, walking in the door, I was like, man, you sure is important to this community.
Yes.
You know, coming in the door, that's the first thing I said to him. I'm like, man, you know, so, you know, it's like, you know, I'm proud to be, you know, doing a rendering of you. And at that point, I hadn't really decided that I was going to do a scratch board as my material. You know, but that piece, and you know what, I printed, it's one copy of it that's on it's high quality on 100% rag paper that I signed it and sent to him.
Wow.
Yeah, because the original Dayton Public School purchased the original. Because soon as, and you know, and I hang that show. So I curate, you know, where the pieces go, and this and just orchestrate the hanging of that show. I've been doing it since its inception, and so once the show went up, you know, I texted him and let him know it was up. He went over to see it. He texted me, I want it right now. You know? And the piece had a $6,000 ticket on it, and he was like, gotta have it. But I did tell him that Dayton Public Schools had first dibs.
Man, I would be so mad that somebody could get a picture of me before I could get it. I would be livid. Like, what do you mean?
But the thing about it is the program is bigger than Michael Roach.
Well, that's impossible. I'm just kidding.
So now that you said that, though,
I concur.
tell us about the program. So let's tell the people. Tell us about the program.
I mean that's what it's about. Yeah. Going out and finding an African American that's made a contribution to society, and we'll do a piece of work on them. We put it in a catalog, because the catalog is really the true documentation of it. That's the living proof.
Oh,
yeah, it's a catalog that have all the pieces, got all of the artists' statements that
it's kind of like
written.
Legendary People's Podcast.
What's that?
I say it's kind of like the Legendary People Podcast.
Yeah. We got a couple of them on there. Michael, right?
You know, and then, you know, artists would make the cover of the catalog, you know, depending on, you know, and Bing, he makes those calls. And then there's like a celebration where we have a reception, you know, real to-do down at the Schuster Center. Yeah. You know, and it's grown, the crowd has swelled and swelled. The reception is, you know, it's just a feel good. You know, and you got that art, the artist there, it's meet and greet.
So when is the next one, and how do you get tickets to it?
Well, you know, because of COVID, you know, all of those things have changed.
They better not say virtual, man. That's gonna hurt my heart.
I don't think it's virtual. It's not virtual.
Okay.
We can do it in the metaverse, though. We could do one in the metaverse.
The ceremony and that whole thing in the big crowd. I think they're doing something different. I don't know the details.
Yeah,
actually, but
I'll have.
I mean, you know, but yeah, you can look up skyscrapers very easily.
So Jeffrey Mims was at the ribbon cutting ceremony. I think with the work he's doing on the West Side, I think it's phenomenal. I definitely want to see him one day be nominated for, you know what I mean? Like,
he already has.
Oh, Jeffrey
Mims. Yeah, somebody, some other artist has done Mims. I don't know. Bing might have did Mims. I don't know, but Mims
for the skyscrapers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we had a thing called Legendary Quotes, where I found a quote about you online, and I just want to give you some little insight of what you were missing online since you ain't on there. James is an amazing person and an amazing artist. He's very private and oh so humble. I can't say enough wonderful things about him. I lived next door to him about 7 years and never ever heard a peep. But on the other side of my dining room wall was his dining room, which he used as a studio, where he created some amazing work.
Do you know who that person was? Who was that person?
Her name is
Wait. Do you know?
Yeah. You know. There we go. Research, baby.
Yeah. Can you tell us who that is?
Yeah. I know her full name.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to think like, because I never.
Initials.
I'll give you some more clues. Do you have any more clues, Peanut?
It's a lady.
When did I have a dining? Oh yeah, that's why I just had the whole and where it was like no dining room table. That was my study.
Okay. So who is this person?
I still don't know.
First name start with a P.
Pam Harrington.
Yep.
Okay. Shout out to Pate and Pam Harrington.
Definitely.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How is she even end up even posting?
Come on.
She posted that. Where did she post that at, Peanut?
Research,
You
man.
did, man.
Uh-oh.
I'm telling you, you saying some stuff
So-
to me that. What?
See, that's why. Hey, if you was on social media though, you would get a whole lot of your love, man. And you know, like that's why we do this show is to give the flowers to people. You know what I'm saying, in our community
Man,
that has done great
doing
things.
it for that.
Yeah.
But I sure appreciate that though.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so give us one of your favorite art pieces that you've done. Like it's the, of course you probably have several, but the very first one that you think of in your head of like, man, like that's one of my staples.
You know what? It's really one of my most recent pieces that's kind of in circulation now, which is called Io's Chair.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's your son, huh?
Io's Chair. That's my son.
Yeah.
It's where I created this art studio environment, and I placed him in a chair where you're looking you're looking up at him in this chair, and the legs of the chair I made, and it's a real male-driven piece. So again, it's like it looks like a wood carving because the legs of the chair, I have images carved in the legs of the chairs, and the crossbars of the chairs. I made it look like they were holding hands around the chair. So they hold
my
hands.
God.
And so one of the characters is an African American. One is this Native American, just to pay homage. And then there's this Asian, and then it's this white dude, and the white dude is a cop.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and like I said, the crossbars to the legs is like their hands holding each other, so they holding this chair, and it's the Io's chair. And he's in this art studio where there are other art activities taking place. So there's this sort of like this art instructor in the background. It's got this art instructor who's helping out one of the students, and they're modeling a portrait of what's the sister down in Louisville? I'm telling you, stuff my mind racing. That was murdered.
The one in Louisville, the one who got Louisville.
I know you're talking about.
What's her name? Come on, man.
Brianna
Taylor.
Brianna Taylor. So they're modeling this portrait of her like in the background because it's like a sort of like a sculpture studio environment, right? And then just in front of that, you could tell that someone had already modeled this sculpture of George Floyd, you know, and then in back of that, way in the back, and this is stuff you have to kind of discover in the piece. Way in the background, you could see where somebody had did like a painting of Emmett Till.
Oh wow!
You know, and then on the other side, it's like these mini sculptures. They look like monuments, but the monuments are fists.
Okay.
So, but they got you know how the monument structure
like
is,
but
their fists is that's coming up. It's got a lot of little stuff in there. It's got this guy that's kind of making this sculpture, one of those West African benches. You know, he's making this sculpture, and you know, it's just packed with a lot of stuff. It's got way in the back. It's got posters on the wall, and these posters are posters of Bing Davis working.
Oh my God!
That you would never know that unless I tell you that. You know, because down in Bing Davis' studio, you know, he's got these pictures, and I was like. You know, one of the most favorite photographs in the world is one of Bing, you know, doing some work on one of his ceramic pieces. You know, so and here's another thing too. Out the window, it's a shot of Dayton skyline when they're building the bridge.
Oh,
you know, even though you see the cranes, but you don't see the actual piece. But then it's like outside in the window, and next to it there's a monitor, like a television. It looks like it's a television monitor, and it's got the. Insurrection is playing out on there, like it's on CNN or something.
Dang.
Oh my, yes! And I'm telling you,
a lot of detail.
But you would have to discover it, or you would have to read where I wrote about, so you would look and see that. So it's got all this stuff. So that's
what technique did you use?
This is a charcoal drum.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's a charcoal. In fact, when I actually did two of them. Then the first one that I did, it went up in Bing Davis' studio, and man, the dude bought it like right away. You know, as soon as he came and saw it, you know, Carlos, you might know Carlos. What's Carlos's last name?
Santana.
No, it's Carlos.
Oh my God.
Carlos,
wow.
You know, he used to work at UD, and But now he works with Dayton Metro Line.
So was that piece for sale that you was just describing? I might want to cap that.
But the second
like,
one, because originally I was doing it for my girl Shola. Yeah, and so that's why I did it. But we had already said, okay, if somebody's interested in buying it, then I'll go ahead and sell it. And she was like, okay, but she didn't think it was gonna happen that quickly.
Yeah.
You know, and so I did a second one to give to her.
All right, man. So what is next for the great Mr. Pate, man? What is next for you, man?
Oh man, you know, this sky's the limit. It's the gallery, you know.
The gallery, yes. Tell us about the gallery. Tell us about the gallery.
Down on 3rd Street, right next to Right Pack Credit Union.
Yeah.
The name of the gallery is Black Palette.
So is it open?
And that's where I'm going to show my work. And I'm also going to have maybe 3 shows. I'm going to show other artists' work. I'm going to have a youth exhibit. And this is stuff that's...
I got to get my daughter in there.
Oh, yeah. When is the grand opening? What's going on? What's up?
We'll get there. And this is just my programming, stuff that's in the business plan. You know, and I want to trying to have a really nice spot where you come in, you have this experience, you know. Because I got a big television monitor in there that I could do programming. You know, I can run documentaries of artists and documentaries of African American artists, and you know, when I'm in there doing instructions, you know, I could use it to help me, you know, do stuff. You know, you don't have very many monitors like that, you know, in galleries. You know,
you got to get on social media too if you got a gallery.
That's what I said. That's the reason why I'm going on social media.
He's on social media right now, telling him he need to be on social media.
But I'm gonna tell you something though. It's like the intuitive thing. Just because me being out into the community, I did know that I would have some sort of a presence.
Absolutely.
But I just didn't know to what extent.
Right.
You know. But I have someone managing that situation. But at the gallery. Okay, we're gonna talk. And
there we go.
But at the gallery, I got a little section carved out because I'm also gonna have a little workspace for myself. And within that workspace, got a little section that's carved out for if people bring their kids with them to come see the work.
My daughter be on there every day learning something.
I just got a little, but it's just a little smaller space for them to do some 5-minute quickie situation, 10 minutes or something. Boom, 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 stamped out some, and you know, just to occupy them a little bit, know, while they explore the gallery.
And where's the gallery? Tell them where it's at.
It's at 1139 on West 3rd Street.
West 3rd Street.
It's not open yet. You know, I still have a couple of months.
Opening soon.
How
Coming
do they get
soon.
in contact with you?
James Pate 3@gmail.com.
There we go. So yeah.
What? He said JamesPay3@gmail.com.
I can finally find the king. You know what I mean?
I'm good.
You know what I'm saying? He about to be on social media soon, though. He gonna be on social media soon. This is his introduction right here.
So
Legendary People Podcast.
So here on the Legendary People Podcast, we got this thing called the butterfly effect. Either something you said during the course of the interview, something I found in the course of my research that I found was truly profound and amazing, man. Like, just seeing how you grew up with, you know what I mean? Like, starting off early, having to make that transition all the way to Cincinnati, and then you having a chance to go through these different experiences, whether it's school being all white or it being mixed, and you have these different experiences. This all kind of changed and kind of painted you, you know what I'm saying, in a sense. You know what I mean? It kind of laid down, you know what I mean, like the actual lines of who you were later on. And then, you know what I'm saying, you going into, you know, uncharted territory when it comes to you doing different things. Even though you're still using an artistic approach to it, no one can tell you that your art, these are masterpieces, you know what I mean? And then, like, for you to still be so humble, you know what I mean? That is like the dopest thing I could ever say about someone, because a lot of times art get called art snobs and things of that nature, or you have this so cool, calm demeanor about. I mean, you wouldn't expect somebody that's like fully in the art world sit here like we can have a beer talk about football. You know what I mean? You really show that that there's a space for us in it. And when I say us in that, I'm not saying you got to be from the middle of, you know, you know, like your dad used to take you to Art Basel or something like that, and you come from a rich background.
Hey, you from the hood.
You from the hood.
What you say? What's the name of your hood in Cincinnati?
Laura Holmes.
Laura Holmes,
That's the project.
Yeah, that's the project.
And yeah, you know what I'm saying? And like for you to like represent that every step that you're going, I just see nothing but greatness come from that. Everything that you want to do is already manifested, man. It's one thing I want to say also is my grandmother, her name is Annie Bonaparte. She started the Ujima Network. She did a lot of great things for the Dayton, Roosevelt, Westwood area. But when they tore down Roosevelt, my grandmother was livid. You know what I mean? She went to every single community meeting. She went to all these different things, going down there protest because she used to be a teacher there. She got permanently disabled from there to the point where she still came back into the community and still put and poured into her people, even to her last death. And then for me to finally go there for the very first time today, because I really didn't go there because my grandmother always to downplay it. But my grandmother would be so proud to see what it is today. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like.
Oh, you saying the community center there?
Yes, like.
Okay.
And
that's good.
And I'm gonna say a large part of that will be because of that mural, man.
Oh, you talking about the basketball court?
Yes. Yeah, man.
That was when I had to do that. That's why I said I'm going with my instincts, boy. Because there are a lot of artists like, what? Yeah. You know, and I'm just like, I ain't never did no piece of artwork that was flat like that size where I'm not drawing, you know, in a vertical, it's horizontal. And I was like, let me solve this problem. Right. You know, so I designed something, man, and put it on there. You know, it turned out
artwork,
cool,
though.
You know,
like,
then I had some of my friends, you know, that was painting it. You know, because you know once you do the design, that's it, and then you just, you know, get you some artisans to help you go on and produce it. You know, that was nice, man. That was a nice situation. And when those drones get up there and take those pictures, boy, you really get a chance to really feel that bad boy.
So I definitely want to tell you, man, you are unequivocally a legend, man. I want to thank you so much for your contribution to artwork, and what you putting into the people, man. I mean, like, what are you doing is truly amazing, man. For you to show us where we need to go, where we need to grow, and still putting us in the kings that we truly are, man. So, I mean, I want to make an amendment to King killing King to Kings killing Kings, man, because you really paint us in that light, man.
Yeah. That's what Meek Mills started saying. So, and this guy, this artist up in Boston, he was the Kids Killing Kids. So he went there. Yeah, man. So, but I mean, man.
So you inspired a lot of people. Like that sound like you inspired some people that's, you know what I'm saying, that's outside of your realm, like just outside of Dayton. Right. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that compliment, man. And I mean, and what you're doing here, you know, again, even coming here was like just me kind of following, you know, my intuition. Like, yeah, it just feel like that.
Yeah, you gotta be, man. You're a legendary person in Dayton, so you gotta be on the podcast. You can't not be on this podcast. You one of the legends for real.
And then you know when B-Nut called me, it was over.
Yeah, he called me B-Nut. He called me B-Nut.
So man,
so and now we gotta work on Bing. Is that right?
Yeah.
Let's get Bing down here. Yes, let's get Bing. And Dr. Daniels.
Bing gonna light it up because he's a lot more articulate than I am. He's a lot more focused, and you know, still to this day, Bing outwork all his artists.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's like in his 80s.
I see a lot of that in you though, man, as well, man. All the things like you admire Bing. Yeah, of course. I mean, of course.
He write 100 correspondence emails where he write them and Roz and his administrative assistant just get that stuff out to people, in addition to making his own work, in addition to curating, you know, in addition to his own family. And I mean, he outworks all of us.
Yeah. That's that old school work.
Yeah.
You know, they built different. They built different.
Built different, man. Yeah. Diligent, you know, not throwing off your focus, you know.
Right.
The standard.
Yeah. You know, I mean, my goodness. You know, him as a model. He was the reason why I stayed in Dayton.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. He was the reason. And again, I was following my intuition, like
another legend. Being another legend. He got a street named after him too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I really came to Dayton, you know, because after Central State, you know, I was back in Cincinnati. I came to Dayton chasing tail.
Uh-oh.
Came up here and then.
What's her name?
But
no snitching.
So, you know, at the time, you know, I had 2 kids in Cincinnati, And when I came up here, you know, it was like, you know, I mean, it was a love. It was a love affair.
Yeah.
So, you know, I said, oh, Dave, I know some people up there. You know, I go up there. You got our best job offer. And I was like, you know, I'm able to get up there and plug into what I do. And, you know, she wanted to go to Chicago. Yeah. And I was like, nah, it's too far from the babies. You know, and we still maintain a relationship up to a certain point. And so she just wanted to go study law, and she did. She wanted to go to the, you know, the best schools. So I definitely wasn't going to clip her wings. Right. You know, I probably could have convinced her to go to UD or something. Right. But I was like, no, if you in pursuit of that, you know, you can go and get that. And she got into the top. What was it? Northwestern was ranked 5 in the country, you know, with law schools, and she real smart. Just go get. And so she's a patent attorney now. So okay, you know, but shout to her. But then I was here, you know, I was gonna go back, but then I was just like, Bane, you know, he's who I need to be around. Man. And so I stayed in Dayton. You done chose because I was gonna go to, you know, the Black Art Mecca down in Atlanta, you know, but I was like, I don't really need to. Man, you are truly a person that sacrificed for art. You done sacrificed church for art and love for art. You're an equivalent legend, man. So, man, thank you for coming in, man. We're going to close this up today. He said for art and love. You know what I mean? So, he said love. Yeah, man. So, thank y'all for tuning in. It's been another legendary interview, man. I'm so gracious, man. Make sure you guys holler at our sponsors, man, which is Sheets for breakfast. For lunch, you go to Agnes All Natural Grill. If you are injured in an accident, make sure you contact Michael Wright. And if you want to get bit a little bit, don't be driving because you can't call Michael Wright about that. Drink responsibly. Yes, you can. Are you calling about that too? Yeah. Get bit and get lit on QR Wine and call Michael Wright behind. You got you. Hey, but I appreciate what you're doing too, man. Thanks, I mean, you doing some. This is your expression right here. Thank you, man. Boy, you putting this stuff out here, putting out this content. Thank you. You know, content is like a big deal. Content is king. Oh yeah, man. For sure. Content is king, man. So you putting it out here, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. So and now you know we got a relationship. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, listen. So speaking of which, tomorrow you got to come out to the Art Has No Rules pop up 1001 East 2nd Street, Dayton, Ohio. Finally got the address, and I'll make sure like. Did you say it was numbers. From 3 to 3? 3 till you free. You know what I mean? 3 till you free. 3 till you free. Art Has No Rules. We could probably show up together though, Pate. You know what I'm saying? I know how you like to not. You know what I'm saying? Be low key. That's cool too. Yeah. Incognito. Yeah. Roll up in there. On the slide. Yeah. You know, and look at everybody and go home and paint something. So please lead us out with some words of encouragement, man. Right here, this is your camera to walk us home. Right here. First of all, I hit y'all with my motto. Mm-hmm. Where? This is right. Oh, right there. Yeah. I hit you with my motto first, philosophy, and that is design. Everything is one. That's a bar. That's a bar. That's a bar. That's a bar. But you know, I would just say, you know, just let love live and let it kind of guide. You know, pretty much. You know, keep it simple. There we go. You know, just discover that love. It's amazing. All right, man. Thank you so much, man. Legendary People Podcast, Legendary People, Legendary Stories. Be a capitalist, not a victim, man. It's lit. Oh yeah, we out of here. Man, you did amazing.